There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize the truth that most spend decades running away from. Your life isn't held back by the world, by the economy, by your past, by your enemies, or by any external force. It's held back by you. By the quieter, weaker, frightened parts of yourself that fight to keep you small. By the invisible inner walls you've built over years of doubt, insecurity, and fear, and until you confront that truth, you will always sabotage your own growth. You will always be the barrier between who you are and who you could be. But here's the darker truth. Some people never confront it. Some people live and die behind the barricades they built with their own hands. They never rise. They never expand. They never touch the life waiting for them just beyond their excuses. I'm telling you now, with no softness in my tone, you cannot climb if you insist on kneeling to your own limitations. You cannot evolve if you keep feeding the version of yourself that refuses to grow. The life you want requires a death. The death of your comfort. The death of your excuses. The death of the identity you cling to because it feels safe. Getting out of your own way is not a mindset shift. It is a war. The unseen enemy within. People fear failure. People fear judgment. People fear uncertainty. But none of these are the real threat. The real threat is the part of you that whispers, "Stay the same." The part of you that would rather live in familiar misery than unfamiliar greatness. The part of you that clings to comfort like a child holding a blanket while the house burns down around them. You're not lazy. You're not unmotivated. You're not incapable. The problem is that you've let the wrong voice inside you lead the way. You've allowed the fragile part of your psyche to take the throne, and fragile leaders build fragile lives. Until you dethrone that inner weakness, you will never rise. Self-actualization is not about adding more. It is about removing what blocks you. Your potential is not something you create. It's something you uncover. And everything in your way is you. You've been walking the world like an unfinished puzzle. Pieces scattered, parts unintegrated. A personality split between what you desire and what you tolerate. And this is where the deeper truth from Transcend begins. You cannot grow until you integrate. You cannot elevate until you unify. You cannot transcend until you stop running from the parts of yourself you don't want to look at, the real takeaways from the science of self-actualization. 1. Integration over escape. You've spent years trying to outrun the pieces of yourself you don't like. Your insecurities, your past wounds, your fears, your shadow. But every demon you refuse to face becomes a chain wrapped around your ankles. True strength isn't found in pretending you have no darkness. It's found in harnessing it. It's found in making peace with your contradictions instead of being ruled by them. It's found in becoming whole. You must unify the animal and the angel inside you. The disciplined self and the chaotic self. The ambitious self and the terrified self. When you integrate your parts, you gain power. When your parts are at war, you lose it. 2. Meaning over comfort. Comfort is the silent assassin of potential. People talk about fear, lack of opportunity, lack of resources, but none of these kill dreams as effectively as comfort does. Comfort lulls you into slow decay. Comfort makes you dismiss your purpose one day at a time. Comfort convinces you that tomorrow is a real plan. Meaning, however, demands sacrifice. Meaning demands discomfort. Meaning demands that you suffer on purpose for something larger than your ego. If you want to transcend, you must choose meaning over momentary ease, every single Day 3. Growth over ego. Ego is the architect of stagnation. It convinces you that you're fine. It tells you that you're already doing enough. It protects you from the embarrassment of admitting you need to change. But ego cannot coexist with evolution. If you cling to who you are, you will never become who you could be. Growth begins the moment you admit, I am the one stopping me. 4. Transcendence through service, contribution, and connection. There is a level of fulfillment you cannot reach by chasing your own desires alone. There is a type of strength born only from being connected to something bigger, a mission, a community, a cause, or a purpose that outlives your comfort. When you live only for yourself, your excuses feel powerful. When you live for something beyond you, your excuses lose their oxygen. Transcendence begins when your life becomes bigger than your fear. 5. Becoming your future self now. The person you want to be in 5 years is not waiting for you at the finish line. They don't appear after enough time has passed. They don't arrive through luck, effort, or hope alone. You must embody them today. You must behave like them before you become them. Identity drives behavior. Behavior shapes destiny. Every time you procrastinate, you vote for your current self. Every time you take action, you vote for your future self. Who are you voting for? The war of transcendence. You keep talking about your goals as if they're distant, as if they're out there. But what if I told you they're not far away? What if I told you they're right behind the locked door you've been too afraid to open? What if the only thing between you and the life you want is the version of you who keeps stalling? Getting out of your own way is not gentle work. It is not soft introspection. It is a dismantling of illusions, of habits, of identities you've outgrown. You must burn the old self, not politely, not slowly, not someday. Now. The self you cling to is expired. It's outdated. It cannot survive in the future you want to build. You are trying to take a small version of yourself into a large destiny. It will not fit. The brutal warning. If you refuse to rise, you will not stay the same. You will decay. You will shrink. You will rot inside the comfort you idolize. Your dreams will not wait. Your potential will not pause. Your future will not come find you while you hide behind hesitation. You either evolve or you pay the price for not evolving. And that price is regret, the heaviest weight a human soul can carry. But if you rise, if you confront yourself, unify yourself, challenge yourself, discipline yourself, and commit to the life you were designed for, then you will become what few humans ever touch. Self-actualized, transcendent whole, unstoppable, limitless, a force of nature, a servant of meaning, a creator of your own destiny. The world has enough people who hide from themselves. It has enough people who settle. It has enough people who fear their own potential. Do not be one of them. Step aside. Let the stronger version of you lead. Get out of your own way. Your future isn't waiting for permission. It's waiting for you. You've heard the truth. You've seen the consequences of staying in your own way. Now the question becomes brutally simple. What are you going to do about it? Awareness means nothing without action. Insight is useless without execution, and potential rots when it isn't claimed. You cannot transcend by accident. You cannot self-actualize through hope. You rise through deliberate force, through a structured assault on the parts of yourself that keep you small. So if you're ready, if you're done negotiating with your weaknesses, then it's time to move from understanding into implementation. Here are the 5 steps that will break your inner barriers, reconstruct your mindset, and pull you into the life that's been waiting for you on the other side of your excuses. This is how you get out of your own way. Step 1. Confront your inner enemy. Face the part of yourself that resists your evolution. The first step is the hardest because it forces you into a confrontation most people spend their entire lives avoiding. The confrontation with yourself, not the polished version you show the world, not the ambitious persona you post online. I'm talking about the part of you that hides in the shadows, the one that whispers doubts, feeds procrastination, and talks you out of the very actions that could change your life. Every person has this inner enemy, but only the rare few have the courage to face it directly. You know exactly who this enemy is. It's the voice that tells you, not today. The impulse that seeks comfort instead of progress. The insecurity that chokes you right before you take a risk. The invisible hand that pulls you back into the same habits that are destroying you. You cannot conquer what you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot rise above patterns you deny you have. This is why most people never transform. They are experts at blaming the world, but cowards when it comes to examining themselves. To confront your inner enemy, you must be brutally honest, not polite, not hopeful, honest. Sit in silence and study your patterns. Ask yourself questions that cut deep. Where do I consistently sabotage myself? What am I avoiding because it scares me? What excuses do I repeat so often that I believe them? What habits ruin me but I defend them anyway? What identity am I clinging to that no longer fits my future? Write down the answers even if they disgust you, especially if they disgust you. You are not doing this to shame yourself. You are doing this to expose the enemy so you can destroy it. Because the enemy within is always subtle. It doesn't attack with violence. It attacks through comfort, through hesitation, through fear disguised as logic. It will give you reasons to delay, reasons to play it safe, reasons to stay small. It speaks with your voice so you trust it. That is why it's so powerful. But once you identify it, the spell breaks. You begin noticing when you're lying to yourself. You catch your own excuses as they form. You hear the weakness in your thoughts before it becomes action. Awareness becomes a weapon. And that's the goal of step 1. To shift from being controlled by your inner enemy to observing it, exposing it, and preparing to defeat it. Because once you see the enemy, you can strategize against it. You can build systems that block its influence. You can create rituals that weaken its grip. You can take actions that your weaker self fears. This step is not glamorous. It will feel uncomfortable, raw, and humbling. You might feel anger toward yourself. Good. You might feel embarrassed by what you admit. Good. You might feel the urge to stop halfway through. That's the enemy fighting for survival. Push through it. The truth is simple. You cannot build a new life with the same mindset that created your old one. You cannot rise while carrying the parts of yourself that insist on staying low. This step demands courage because it forces you to dismantle the version of you that has been pretending to be in control. And once you dismantle it, there is no going back to ignorance. There is no pretending you don't know. There is no hiding behind the same excuses ever again. But that's the entire point. To remove the comfort of staying the same. Confronting the inner enemy is the foundation of transformation. Without it, every other step becomes unstable. With it, every step after becomes inevitable. This is where your ascent begins. This is where the war turns in your favor. This is where you stop being the prisoner of your old self and become the architect of your new one. Step 2. Integrate your shadow. Unify the parts of yourself that are currently at war. Most people sabotage their own rise not because they lack ambition, but because they are internally divided. One part of them wants greatness, while another part quietly undermines every attempt to reach it. This internal war is why you feel stuck, inconsistent, or pulled in opposite directions. You don't lack potential. You lack integration. Your shadow, the darker, wounded, insecure side of you, isn't your enemy. The real enemy is your refusal to acknowledge it. Your shadow is the repository of every fear you bury, every insecurity you deny, every emotion you avoid, every experience you never processed. You may think ignoring these pieces makes you strong, but in reality, it gives them more power. Anything you exile comes back as sabotage. Anything you suppress returns as self-destruction. Anything you pretend not to feel will control you from behind the curtain. This is why you feel blocked. This is why you repeat patterns you swear you're done with. This is why your progress collapses the moment things get difficult. You are fighting yourself instead of using all of yourself. Integration is the process of turning your inner conflict into inner unity. It is the moment you stop treating your fears, flaws, and impulses as enemies and start treating them as information, signals pointing to deeper truths. But integration requires brutal honesty. Ask yourself, what emotions do I avoid because they make me feel weak? What memories do I run from because they still control me? What traits do I deny because they don't match the image I want to have? What parts of myself do I secretly hate, fear, or hide? Your shadow isn't evil, it's unacknowledged. It's misunderstood. It's waiting to be integrated. When you bring attention to these hidden parts, you don't become darker, you become whole. Because your shadow holds power, raw, untamed power. And every trait you suppress contains a potential strength in disguise. Your fear, a signal for preparation. Your anger, a source of boundary setting. Your envy, a compass pointing to what you desire. Your insecurity, a reminder of where to grow. Your shame, a teacher calling you higher. Your shadow is not trying to destroy you. It's trying to protect you with outdated strategies that no longer serve your future. Integration means updating that system. It means rewriting your internal codes. It means telling your shadow, I see you, I understand you, but I choose who leads now. To integrate your shadow, you must enter a psychological territory most people avoid their entire lives, the territory of internal truth. This may involve journaling, introspection, meditation, silence, or even spoken confrontation with yourself. It doesn't matter the method. What matters is that you stop running. You cannot outrun a part of your own psyche. It moves with you. It sleeps with you. It wakes up inside your decisions. The only escape is through integration. As you begin this process, you'll feel discomfort. Good. That's the sign you're touching the real material. That's the sign you're no longer living on the surface. That's the sign you're taking the reins back from the fragments of your past. Most people collapse under pressure because their internal parts are fighting each other, but when you integrate, when your internal forces align, pressure becomes fuel. You stop self-sabotaging. You stop doubting every decision. You stop fearing your own emotions. You stop living a life built on avoidance. You become internally coherent, a unified force. And unified forces win battles that divided minds cannot. Integration doesn't make you perfect. It makes you powerful. You stop pretending to be something you're not. You stop hiding behind a curated identity. You stop needing validation because your strength becomes internal instead of borrowed. Integration gives you emotional depth, psychological resilience, and a level of self-trust most people never develop. But most importantly, integration removes the internal resistance that has been draining your energy for years. When your inner world stops fighting itself, your outer world becomes easier to conquer. This is where strength begins. This is where self-respect forms. This is where the fragmented self becomes the unstoppable self. This is how you rise. Step 3. Choose meaning over comfort. Stop prioritizing what feels good. Start prioritizing what builds you. Comfort is the silent killer of human potential. It doesn't strike violently. It doesn't warn you. It doesn't attack you head-on. It simply lulls you, little by little, into a slow decay. Comfort is the warm blanket that turns into a straitjacket. It is the soft bed that transforms into a coffin. It is the easy path that leads nowhere. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they're comfortable. They cling to routines that numb them. They choose entertainment over discipline. They prioritize emotions over execution. They worship the idea of a better life while doing everything possible to avoid the discomfort required to create it. But meaning, real meaning, demands sacrifice. Choosing meaning means choosing the road that forces you to grow. It means willingly stepping into difficulty, uncertainty, and pressure. It means waking up earlier than your excuses, doing what you don't feel like doing, and building a life rooted in purpose rather than pleasure. Meaning requires you to suffer with intention. Comfort requires you to suffer in regret. You must decide which pain you prefer. Your brain will always default toward ease. It will always choose the familiar over the unfamiliar, the effortless over the effortful, the predictable over the transformative. That means choosing meaning is an act of rebellion. A rebellion against your impulses, against your habits, against your old identity. Ask yourself, how many opportunities have I lost because comfort felt safer? How many dreams have I delayed because discomfort scared me? How many years have I wasted choosing what was easy instead of what was necessary? How many times has comfort disguised itself as self-care, taking a break, or waiting for the right moment? Comfort is manipulative. It will dress itself as logic, timing, caution, or listening to your body. But most of the time, it is fear wearing a mask. Meaning, however, is honest. It asks, what choice moves me toward my future, not my feelings? Meaning doesn't care if you're tired, unmotivated, stressed, or overwhelmed. Meaning doesn't negotiate with your mood. Meaning doesn't wait until you feel ready. Meaning demands action before emotion. Meaning demands commitment before confidence. Meaning demands you show up even when your mind begs you to stay still. Meaning reshapes you. Every time you choose the meaningful action over the comfortable one, you reinforce a new identity. The identity of someone who does what must be done, not what is pleasant. Not what is familiar. What is required. This shift is psychological warfare. You are going against your own wiring. You are retraining your survival instincts to serve your evolution instead of your stagnation. And once you consistently choose meaning over comfort, an internal transformation occurs. Comfort loses control over you. Discomfort stops feeling like danger and starts feeling like growth. Difficulty stops being something you fear and becomes something you seek out. Because you recognize that every meaningful step forward is forged in discomfort. Choosing meaning doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. Comfort keeps you weak. Meaning makes you dangerous. Comfort makes you predictable. Meaning makes you powerful. Comfort gives you short-term relief. Meaning gives you long-term identity. Most importantly, meaning creates momentum, the psychological force that separates those who wish from those who rise. When you choose comfort, you stay on the ground. When you choose meaning, you begin the climb. And every meaningful choice compounds. Every act of discipline becomes a brick in the foundation of your future. Every moment of resistance to comfort strengthens the version of you you're trying to become. This is the step where your entire life begins to shift. Not because you discovered a new secret, but because you stopped lying to yourself about what truly matters. Comfort feels good for a moment. Meaning feels good for a lifetime. Comfort gives you nothing. Meaning turns you into something. Ask yourself daily, does this choice lead to who I want to be or who I used to be? Then choose accordingly. This is how you break the gravitational pull of mediocrity. This is how you fortify your mind. This is how you stop drifting and start directing. Choose meaning. Every single time. Step 4. Serve a purpose bigger than your fear. Attach your life to something greater, or your excuses will devour you. One of the greatest illusions people live under is the belief that their life is supposed to revolve around themselves, their goals, their emotions, their comfort, their wounds, their image, their timeline. This is why most people collapse under pressure. Their life is too small to carry them. A life centered around the self is a fragile life. It gives your problems too much weight. It magnifies your fears. It lets your excuses feel justified. It traps you inside your own head, drowning in overthinking and hesitation. When everything is about you, everything becomes a threat. But when your mission becomes larger than you, your fear starts to crumble. This is the psychological shift that separates those who stagnate from those who transcend. You stop living for comfort and start living for contribution. You stop living for validation and start living for impact. You stop living for yourself and start living for something that demands your evolution. When you serve a purpose bigger than your fear, your emotional storms lose power. Suddenly your excuses feel childish. Your delays feel disrespectful. Your weaknesses feel too small to obey. A bigger purpose rewrites your identity. Ask yourself, what am I building that will matter beyond today? Who am I becoming that others can rely on? What legacy am I shaping through my actions? What future will collapse if I continue playing small? What would my life look like if I finally stopped centering it around my insecurities? Purpose is not poetic. It is practical. Purpose is the reason you get up when the alarm feels impossible. Purpose is the reason you push through days when motivation is dead. Purpose is the reason you take risks that terrify you. Purpose is the reason you stop retreating the moment things get uncomfortable. People without purpose rely on emotion. People with purpose rely on duty. Emotion fluctuates. Duty endures. Emotion makes you fragile. Duty makes you unstoppable. When you find something meaningful enough to serve, something powerful enough to pursue, something worthy enough to sacrifice for, your entire nervous system shifts. Fear doesn't disappear, but it shrinks. Doubt doesn't vanish, but it loses authority. Hesitation doesn't stop showing up, but it can no longer steer your life. Purpose becomes the captain. You become the vessel. Your actions become the oars. Your excuses become irrelevant noise. A bigger purpose gives your suffering a direction. Your pain becomes fuel. Your mistakes become lessons. Your challenges become training. Your obstacles become gateways. You stop asking, "Do I feel like doing this?" and start asking, "Does this serve the mission?" A person living for themselves quits when things get hard. A person living for a mission fights even when they are exhausted. Purpose gives you endurance that comfort can't provide. Purpose gives you clarity that feelings can't manufacture. Purpose gives you consistency that motivation can't sustain. Think back on every moment you failed to follow through. It wasn't because you were incapable. It was because the goal wasn't connected to anything bigger than your temporary emotions. People quit when the mission is shallow. People rise when the mission is deep, so choose your mission. Maybe your purpose is building a life your younger self never had. Maybe it's setting an example for your children, your community, or your bloodline. Maybe it's mastery of a craft, creation of something lasting, contribution to something greater, or becoming the person you once needed. Whatever it is, make it bigger than your fear. Make it louder than your excuses. Make it stronger than your insecurities. Make it compelling enough that quitting becomes impossible. Because when you attach your life to a purpose that matters, you stop being the center of the universe, and you start becoming a force within it. This is the shift that transforms ordinary lives into legendary ones. This is the moment your weaknesses lose their throne. This is the beginning of transcendence. Serve your purpose. Let it carve you into someone the world cannot ignore. Step 5. Act as your future self now. Become the person you want to be. Today, not eventually. Most people never change because they're waiting for some mythical moment where everything lines up. A moment where motivation is high, fear is low, discipline is easy, time frees up, and life suddenly becomes convenient enough for transformation. That moment never comes. You don't become your future self after you achieve your goals. You become your future self before you achieve your goals. Identity comes first. Results come second. This is the truth most people refuse to accept because it demands everything from them. Your future self isn't created in the future. Your future self is created right now, in the choices you make today. If you want to be someone with unbreakable discipline, you must act disciplined now. If you want to be someone with wealth, power, stability, strength, or mastery, you must behave like that version of yourself immediately. Not when you feel ready. Not when life becomes easier. Not next month or next year. Now, your future self is not waiting at the finish line with a reward. Your future self is standing behind you with a demand. Live as me, become me. Move like me, or lose me. This step requires you to make a psychological shift so extreme that it feels unnatural at first. The brain resists it. Your habits resist it. Your emotions resist it. Your entire identity fights it because identity is built through repetition. And right now, you are repeating an outdated version of yourself. To act as your future self now, you must kill the identity that keeps you stuck. Ask yourself, how does my future self wake up? What do they tolerate? What do they cut out without hesitation? What standards do they live by? What distractions do they never allow? What actions do they take no matter how they feel? How do they speak, move, work, think, and respond to adversity? Then match your behavior to those answers, even if it feels unnatural, even if it feels forced, even if it feels like you're pretending. Because here's the dark truth: you must pretend to be your future self long enough for your brain to accept the new identity as normal. Every habit you perform is a vote. Every decision you make is a vote. Every action you take is a vote. You are constantly casting ballots for the person you are becoming. The problem is that most people keep voting for their past. You must change what you vote for. And you do this by embodying the identity of your future self so consistently that the old version of you slowly dies off from lack of reinforcement. This step is uncomfortable because it forces you to act above your current emotional state. Your emotions won't approve. Your ego won't approve. Your weaknesses will scream. They will tell you, you're not ready. You don't know enough. You need more time. Start next week. Be realistic. You're faking it. Let them scream, you are not obeying your emotions anymore. You are obeying your mission. Acting as your future self now is the most effective form of self-transformation in existence, because behavior reshapes identity. When your daily actions contradict your old self, the old self loses power. You show your mind a new direction. You show your nervous system a new baseline. You show the world a new standard. You show your fears that they no longer run the show. When you embody your future self consistently, life begins to reorganize around your new identity. Opportunities appear because you finally look capable of handling them. People respond differently because your presence carries a different frequency. Your standards elevate your environment, and your habits elevate your destiny. You stop hoping for change. You start becoming the change. You start embodying the version of you who deserves success instead of admiring them from a distance. This step is the final gate, the threshold between intention and embodiment, dream and reality, potential and power. Those who cross it become unrecognizable to their former selves. Those who don't stay trapped in circles of almost achievement until time runs out. Right now, you stand at this gate. You can choose to repeat your past, or you can choose to step into your future act as your future self now. Your destiny is watching. The final warning, the final invitation, the final chance before the door closes. You now hold the blueprint. You've seen the path from fragmentation to wholeness, from hesitation to purpose, from comfort to meaning, from weakness to identity, from who you've been to who you could become. You know what must be confronted. You know what must be integrated. You know what must be sacrificed. You know what must be served. You know who you must become. And now the truth stands in front of you like a blade held to your throat. Nothing changes unless you do. Nothing evolves unless you act. Nothing transforms unless you decide to move. The world will not drag you into greatness. Your potential will not scream loud enough to save you. Your purpose will not come chasing you through the shadows of your excuses if you do not take these steps. If you continue clinging to comfort, avoiding your shadow, ignoring your inner war, and postponing the embodiment of your future self, then your life will fold in on itself. Let me tell you what that looks like. You will wake up years from now with the same dreams you had today, but they'll be covered in dust and regret. You will feel the weight of unrealized potential sitting on your chest, like a stone you can't breathe beneath. You will watch other people rise while you remain exactly where you've always been, on the sidelines, explaining why you almost became something. Your fears will grow stronger. Your confidence will shrink. Your identity will harden into the shape of someone who never demanded more from themselves. Comfort will eat you alive. Your excuses will become your personality, and your future will belong to someone who had less talent than you, less time than you, less potential than you. But more courage if you refuse this path. You will not stay the same. No one stays the same. You will decay. Your standards will lower. Your discipline will vanish. Your heart will grow heavier with every year wasted. And the version of you that could have been legendary, the version of you with fire in their eyes and purpose in their blood, will die quietly inside you long before your body ever hits the ground. But if you choose the path, if you implement these steps with violence, commitment, and unwavering resolve, your life will not just improve, it will transform. You will rise from internal chaos into internal clarity. You will walk with a presence that others feel before you speak. You will think, act, decide, and live like someone with a destiny. Your weaknesses will bow. Your fears will bend. Your identity will evolve into something unrecognizable from the person who started this journey. You will become the kind of human who doesn't just survive life. You shape it. You build it. You command it. So this is your moment, your threshold, your dividing line between potential and waste. There will never be a perfect day. There will never be a perfect feeling. There will never be a perfect circumstance. There is only now. There is only choice. There is only the version of you powerful enough to rise, and the version of you terrified enough to stay the same. One of them will win. One of them will define your future. One of them will write the story of your life. Choose wisely. Because the cost of ignoring this path is the life you were meant to live.